All right, so today we're going to do a practice edit for this image here of Julia Pfeiffer Burns Falls. And this is going to be a practice edit for an example for rhythm. So first what we want to do is we want to duplicate this background. We're going to duplicate this layer and we're going to call it clone. Now when you go to clone, I recommend you zoom in on the image, okay? So you always want to make sure you have your navigator open. And that'll show up right here. You can turn it on and off, okay? And you want to zoom in, and you want to start, at the corner, kind of figure out what it is that you want to clone. So you want to click on your cloning tool, and we want to make sure we have a nice soft brush, opacity about 50%. And I'm going to make my brush a little bigger by actually clicking on my bracket tool here. Make it a little bigger. And I'm just going to look at what's up here in the left corner. I might want to remove some of these little white specks. So I'm going to click my Alt and I'm going to click my Alt, get my little plus sign, and also click on my keypad at the same time, move it over, and get rid of some of these little white specks here, maybe here, up here. I'm going to move it down and just see what else needs to be retouched here in the middle. I'm seeing like all these little white specks that I kind of want to get rid of. Um, okay. Maybe I'll get my brush just a little bigger so I can see what I'm doing here. Alt, select that and move it over. And now I'm going to bring it down. And I see some stuff on the beach. Maybe some of this little black things on the beach. Just kind of remove that. Maybe up here, this little white speck here. Little black thing on the beach here. Get rid of that. Move it down to the corner. Looks pretty good. I'm going to move it down to the next corner now. The water looks pretty good. Maybe get rid of some of that seaweed there in the water. Just kind of clone some of the waves over it. And maybe this little black rock, not enough of it showing, and so it's kind of hard to tell what it is. Maybe some of the little bubbles in the sand here. You want to kind of control your brush size just a little bit so that you're not doing too big of a brush. Okay. And let's move up here. Maybe get rid of some of, yeah, I'm going to zoom out now. See what I've got here. Close the navigator. So before and after, really what shows up is in the water just because those are the biggest objects. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this layer and I'm going to do a little bit of lasso, feather, and levels. So I'm going to come here, select my lasso, make sure I've got the intersect, and I'm going to do 100% feather. And I'm just going to select just this kind of, not all the way to the rock, but just this top part a little bit. And I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Levels, and I'm going to make that just a tad bit darker, but not too much, okay? Just a little bit darker, okay. Click off of there, and then we can see that how it just got just a tad bit darker. I think I'm now going to do a duplicate layer, and this time I'm going to do a burn and dodge. But I'm going to select burn because I want to burn just this corner here, but not a lot. So I'm going to do highlights. I'm going to do an exposure of like 20%. And I'm going to make my brush really large using the bracket key, and I'm just going to just, oh, that doesn't look good because I used a harsh brush. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to make sure I've got myself a nice soft brush. So go back on the history if you're not happy, folks, okay? And I'm going to make my brush bigger. I'm just going to burn this just a little bit here. Okay, great. And now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do black and white. Um, I'm going to just add an adjustment layer here. I'm going to do a hue saturation. And what I'm going to do is make my color a little saturated. And I'm also going to make my reds a little more intense. So you really notice that it's sunset, okay? And then I'm going to close that up. And then I'm going to see if maybe I want to add a little contrast to this. So I'm going to bring up my contrast just a tad bit, which helps to pop the colors a little more. And there we go. We are done. We've done a beautiful edit. So let's look at this. We turn all this off. We can see how it develops slowly but surely, and keep it more on the conservative side when you go to do your edits. And don't forget to turn this in. So make sure you add it to your slides for the before and after.